Hopefully that will now be happening. Yeah, okay. We're now live on the net, as well as so we've got another minute and a bit to go before the meeting can start. We're there. So just turn. Drop. We're now live on the net. Okay. So we've got another minute and a bit to go before. All right. So someone's got it on in the background. It's probably me. Yeah, it is me. Got rid of it. All right. Right. Nearly at 30:30, so we'll begin in a few seconds. Just missing one councillor, Martin Betts. Okay, it's now 30:30. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Easton Parish Council monthly meeting. We're holding this under Section 78 of the Coronavirus Act 2020, which these regulations are enforced until May 2021 at present time. We need to check about apologies. I know one apology, which was from Gillian. She's unable to make it tonight, but one of our other councillors, Martin, hasn't sent any apologies at the moment. He may be trying to get connected, so hopefully he will join us shortly. Do we have any declarations of interest of items on this agenda not recorded elsewhere for a request for dispensation tonight? No. Okay, moving on. Receive and approve the minutes of the 7th of September. Okay, here's Martin. Okay, so hopefully you've all read the minutes of the 7th of September. Is everyone happy with those minutes?
Yep.
Yeah. I have a proposer for those minutes.
Yeah, I'll propose.
Seconder, please.
I'll second.
All in favour, just a show of hands. Okay, Mark Cordy, you not?
Wasn't at the meeting.
Oh, you
so...
weren't at the meeting, okay. Martin, were you at the meeting? Can't remember.
No, I wasn't at the last
No.
one.
Okay, that's fine. So they're passed. The next one is the special meeting of the 21st of September. Hopefully you've had a chance to have a read through those minutes and are happy with them. Has everyone could I have a proposer for those minutes?
Yeah, I'll propose again.
Seconder?
I'll second.
All in favour? Yep. Okay. They're passed. What we need to move on, any matters arising from the minutes not on the agenda elsewhere? Francis?
Peter, yeah, there's just one thing, which is I hadn't recorded the fact that we'd agreed that Ian would do the initial work for £935 on the on the sign. So apologies everyone for that.
Okay, you are going to rectify the minutes.
Yeah, I'll just add that in. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're going to adjourn now for public participation. We've got Keith with us this evening. Keith, would you like to unmute and...
There we are.
Yeah.
Hi there. Yes, I just had a comment about the parking for parents dropping off and picking up at the school. It's been pretty chaotic and messy, well, forever really. But I was a bit angry after we'd had the pavements done on Marlingford Road, and the very first morning, a large 4x4 was parked all over the verge that had just been laid out and seeded, and was completely churned up. I mean, it's total disrespect for the village, really. And I had a thought that would it not be possible to have bollards put along there to match the other bollards on outside the playground and around the village? It would prevent that. And also, there's also been a lot of comment about parents parking on the double yellow lines, the chevrons, right outside the school and elsewhere, which, apart from being very illegal, it's also extremely dangerous for everybody else. That's my comment.
Well, I appreciate your comments. We couldn't agree more with you with regard to the parking issues around the school. We have seen them parking on the chevrons. You ask them to move on, and they can be very abusive, saying that they're only going to leave the children there for a couple of stop for a few minutes. But they're very rude and very abusive, some of the parents. We have copied in the police to your email. Have they been in touch with you?
Not with me, no.
Well, they haven't bothered to be in touch with us either. So I think what I'll have to do is get hold of the inspector for the area, and maybe Margaret, so if you've got any contacts that you can get hold of to get them to actually do something about this parking issue before a child dies.
You've got the local beat manager, haven't you?
We have, but the problem is you get one beat manager, and then if he's off for a period of time, no one else picks anything up. No one else deals with it for the area.
So the comment about the bollards on the grass at Marlingford Road, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'll come on to that one in a second. The bollards, it's more about the police dealing with the illegal parking on the corners of junctions, on the chevrons, which is an offence where the police should be taking action. Where the police try and get away with not dealing with things is parking on pavements, parking inconsiderately elsewhere. They say that's down to South Norfolk to deal with. And when we speak to South Norfolk, they just seem to shrug their shoulders of, oh, well, we haven't got the staff to deal with it, even though they were given the responsibility to deal with it.
I tend to think it's the police who usually deal with it outside the schools, to be honest. I can only do things that, from my point of view, with highways, when it comes to trying to do something to stop the parking on the pavement, I can ask. But I mean, I'm talking to South Norfolk, you're not likely to get many people coming out to enforce that sort of thing at the moment, the way things are.
No.
So the police are the best bet. But
well,
then again, they're probably not dealing with things like that.
No, they're dealing with other offences, like someone not wearing a mask in a supermarket, more important. But I'm going to share a screen with you so you can see what we have been working on. In the past, we obtained, hopefully you can see this.
Yeah.
We looked at getting bollards done, and we were told that we had to pay for the bollards to be done. Highways wouldn't pay for them, and they're just over £2,000 when we got the quote at the beginning of the year. Where we decided as a parish council to wait until we got the funds in from the land sale. Unfortunately, with the COVID-19, it has slowed things down somewhat, but there is a plan there for bollards, which hopefully we can do. But if you can get highways to do it, Margaret, quicker and free, that would be even better.
I'm not sure that well, highways might put them in, I was thinking my highways grant of 6,000. I mean, you had a lot of that the other time for the crossing and the signs outside the school. I've more or less spent that in other villages this year. So you'd have to wait till the next financial year, but I could probably do it then.
Have you got anything left this year?
Not that I know of. I'd have to double check. There'd probably only 100 or so, if that.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'd offer if I had enough to do anything.
Yeah.
But obviously you had a large amount a year or so ago, so I have to share it between 17 villages.
yes, no, we very much appreciate we got a very large sum off you the other year for those signs. So, we
But
do
I
appreciate
do
that.
recognise the need for the bollards if we can get them. I will talk to highways, but it's unlikely unless the parish council and I went halves or something like
Yeah.
that next year.
Yeah, okay. The other thing that we could do with having refreshed are the chevrons and the yellow lines put back in that were there. When they resurfaced the road, they went and covered up what was working very successfully. Then they went and put the chevrons in, and they didn't put them far enough down, and they didn't put the white lines in to show not to park in front of people's drives. Google Earth has where you look at their thing, you can actually see what was there before, and it was working. But the guys that came and did it hadn't got any instructions exactly what to do, and they just did what they thought, which
And I can confirm that because I actually spoke to one of them and he said, we've been trying to get a hold of the guy who's drawn us up, but we can't get a hold of him. So we're just, as you say, just doing what we think we need to do. I asked them to do a bit more, but they declined.
so you're on
Just
mute,
take
Margaret.
instructions from other people.
Yeah. So is there anything you could do on that front, Margaret?
Yeah, if Francis puts it in writing to go to highways and copies me in, then I'll reinforce it, because then, although I'm making notes, he'll have the detail, won't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 That's fine.
I'll put that in, and I'll put in the map of where, or the picture, Peter, of where the chevrons were before. I
Yeah.
think, and then just say, look, you got to replace this because this is what we had.
Yeah.
That's good.
If I get that from you, then I'll ping it off and copy Margaret in.
Yeah. No problems. Has any other councillors want anything to say with regard to this matter? No. Keith, does that sort of answer what we
Yes.
can do at the moment?
Yeah, very
So
thorough.
We
Yeah.
have a plan in. If we could get the land sold very quickly, we would have done it by now. But the trouble was with this COVID-19, it slowed an awful lot of things
Yeah, of
down.
course.
This may be something the council might consider that we just do now and then recoup the money later. But we'll need to talk about that within the main meeting rather than under public discussion. So we can do that later in the meeting of correspondence received.
Can I just ask what, I gather you've been in contact with the school. Can you just tell me what, have you had any response from the school?
I'll pass you on to Francis for that because people
Okay.
think I'm biased.
And then I'll leave you in peace.
Okay.
I mean, very, very basically, Keith, it's not their problem. I mean, they have asked, they've sent a letter out, they say, to all the parents saying, please, park responsibly, but actually it's not their problem. I mean, if you like, I'm very happy to forward the letter I received from the head, if you'd like to see what her response was.
Well, you've got my email, haven't you? So
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, lovely.
Is that
Yeah.
okay, Peter, to send that?
Oh yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's an open letter to the parish council. Maybe we put it up on the parish council website as well.
Yep.
So that all parishioners are aware of the school's view with regard to the parking.
I can see
That's
it's
all we can
outside
do.
their boundaries. I do understand that, but they can't control every parent.
No,
But okay, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for listening to me.
that's no problems.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Fine.
we'll move on to Margaret. Have you got any updates for us? Could you start again with your mic on, please?
Sorry, I'm so used to turning it off. But I can just tell you in general, I mean, we're still trying to balance the budget, and we're working with back office things and trying to do more online and less travel to try and save money, but we're still spending quite a lot of money with regards to the COVID stuff, although the government should be letting us have some more money to help cover some of the costs and the money that we've lost, but it won't cover what we have, everything. We've just started a new anti-COVID campaign with the slogan, protect ourselves, protect others, protect Norfolk, to try and get people to think about that, because we're really concerned that there could be another peak coming, and we really want people to take some responsibility, and we want to try and protect the most vulnerable, really. The main thing of interest to you, possibly, the Boundary Commission looked at the county council divisions, and its recommendations for new boundaries are up for consultation at the moment until the 23rd of November. Basically, for my division, which starts with you at Easton and goes down to Hingham, the suggestion is that they cut my division in half, that this top end, Easton, Marlingford, Colton, Great Melton, would be with the Hamptons and Queen's Hills in a Norwich division, and the rest of my area going down as far as Hingham and Wicklewood would be joined on to part of North Windham. Now, obviously, that's just the suggestions at the moment. It won't be relevant to the election in May. That will still be on the boundaries that we've got. But it's up for consultation because they're trying to even up the number of electors in each divisional area. And certainly, I think mine is one of the smaller areas with lots of small villages and not so many people. Apart from that, there's a lot of different bits and pieces going on in October. On Saturday, we held our first virtual fire station open day. It was screened with some live activities on the day, and it marked the beginning of Fire Safety Week. So this week, there's lots of information and advice being made available to help people keep themselves safe from fire and their homes safe. It's also Libraries Week this week, and they're providing free support for adults who struggle with reading to help them. They're also reading activities for all ages. They've got story time and coding clubs for children online. And on the 8th of October, we're also supporting Black History Month with a special Zoom event at 8 o'clock. Adult learning, although most of their meetings, their courses at the moment are online, they are starting to do some more face-to-face courses, and things like the craft classes at Wensum Lodge with the pottery and silversmithing and that are now face-to-face again. The Records Office is running a community archives project to enable groups to preserve and manage access to their own collections, because some parishes have got groups of people making, putting together history for their local area, and they want to know how to save it and what to do with it. So we're supporting them. Basically, we're helping people who are still sitting around at home a lot wanting to do things. We're trying to keep them, give them something to keep them active, to help with their mental health and well-being, really. That's about it. I mean, adults and children, there's still a lot going on. We're hoping that we can do a bit more to keep people out of hospital, so that as soon as they recover from something, instead of being put on wards where or in care homes, they can go home, and we're going to try and look out, help ensure there's care in their homes, because we think that that's a better way to deal with it at the moment. But we're looking at all sorts of things that are slightly changing some of our services because of all the COVID stuff.
Yeah, I can't imagine the amount of work that's going in. So I know that you're now issuing through central government PPE for those vulnerable people who've got additional care needs.
We bought an awful lot of PPE stuff. Yeah,
That's starting to be delivered out. Has any councillors got, I know Francis, you seem to be that you want to say something. Any of the other councillors got anything they want to raise? Jan?
No.
Mike?
No, nothing from me.
Mark
Thank you.
Cordy?
No.
Mark Caton?
No.
David Lewis? No. Martin?
No.
No.
You know where to find me. You can easily get in touch with me, and I am around. So if you need anything, I will help with anything I can. You know that.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Francis, I think, has a question.
Just a quick point, Margaret. Have you got the links for the work that's going to be carried out, getting the history, the village history? Because we've got some people in Easton who may be keen to get involved with that, because we've got well, we have a history of Easton that's been written, and the idea is if we have a new village hall, we're actually going to have an area in the new village hall where you know, it's almost like a kind of archive for Easton because of all the changes that are happening. So if you've got any links for that, it might be worth us just having that.
Yeah, I haven't got it right. I know it's on another paper and it's not on this piece of the notes that I made before the meeting. So I'll type them up and I'll send you all the contact details for things, and I'll send it to you sometime tomorrow.
And
thank you.
myself, the quick question is there any money floating around to support any of these ideas and projects?
Any money? We haven't got a lot of money for grants.
I know there's not a lot of money, but if you don't ask, you don't get.
No. It's juggling, I'm afraid, at the moment.
Because you've got 26 million you've got to cut, and that's still not enough.
I can't remember what the figures were now this morning. This morning they changed a bit at cabinet, but we've still got several million to find, double figures. Yeah.
Don't envy you on that task, but thank you very much for that. Okay, so we now need to move on. The land sale on Dereham Road. Hopefully, I would hope to give some good news, but the Orbit directors had a meeting scheduled for last week. They're based up north, and unfortunately, excuse me, just let me get rid of that.
Call from 0788915.
Apologies.
774.
Go away.
Call from 07.
All right, I have to answer it to cancel it. I just thought I could just kill it. Because they're where they're based, they ended up having to cancel their meeting there because they've got really bad COVID in their area. So they're having to reschedule that. So hopefully within the next few weeks, things will all start moving again. But we know ESCO are on the case, and I know the local branch of Orbit are desperate to try and get things moving forward. It's just such a shame it came exactly when COVID came when it came. Inconvenience. Has anyone got any questions or things they want to say about it at the moment? No? Okay. Moving on from that one, Francis, you're going to give us an update on the Eastern Emergency Plan.
Yeah, I had a meeting with the folks from the community hub on the 25th. I mean, the main thing that is happening is that South Norfolk and the community hub are basically getting actively involved in the contact tracing, where they're given basically people's details if the central government, whatever they're called, the department dealing with it, can't get hold of anyone, and they're giving those names out to South Norfolk, who are then knocking on doors basically, which I thought was quite interesting that they're being actively involved. I don't know if they get any funding for that, Margaret, for having to sort of do that, but I guess there are not too many cases in Norfolk, so it's not, and South Norfolk, so it's not exactly, it's not like if it was Oldham or kind of Manchester somewhere, then obviously the whole council would be involved with it. But in terms of how then we're managing the emergency plan we have, it's kind of dormant, but if it kicks off with any kind of lockdown, then the emergency plan may come back in again. Everything is set up with the phone. South Norfolk Community Hub have our number, and they know to contact us. I mean, I've got the phone at the moment. I've taken it off Alan. We haven't had any calls. There's been nothing. However, what I have done is I've just put in a request for the funding for both the phone going forward, because I think we're going to need that for at least over the winter, but also to fund another leaflet drop if we need to do one of those. And we've done 2, Margaret, you've seen those, and we may need to do another at some point. So it would be saying, well, we've got the funding there to do it if we need it. It's only a little, I think it's about 300 we can claim from a Go For It grant, but we'll see if we can get that. I think the guy Matt Allen I spoke to at the meeting, he seemed as if we would be able to get some money for something like that because of the nature of it. But it's only 300. We're not asking for thousands. We just want, you know, like 300 quid.
Yes, just covering our costs to do this. Okay, anything else you want to mention on the emergency plan?
Just to say that the next meeting will be on the 16th, and that's just really, the thought was that if there is going to be any kind of a lockdown, you know, a quick lockdown, they may well do that over half term, which would be from the Thursday of the following week. They may decide to have a 2-week lockdown if the numbers get worse, but they don't really know what's going on because they keep finding these new cases everywhere anyway. So, you know, we don't really know what's going on, but the next meeting is on the 16th with the community hub, and it's just worth kind of keeping in with them really, because if it all kicks off again, then I'm assuming it will all carry on going through South Norfolk as opposed and the Broadland hubs, as opposed to county being involved, because it didn't seem to work very well last time when they started having their own kind of layer of help. So hopefully it'll be, you know, it'll be district councils doing that because they seem to be on it. But I don't know if that's your view, Margaret.
There was a slight problem at county when, because everyone at county was working from home, including all the people with customer services and everyone helping with the calls in, and there's a slight problem with the system when it transferred the calls that were going into County Hall to people's homes for them to answer. Occasionally, if it got it wrong and people weren't on duty, instead of clicking on to the next person who was on duty, it clicked on to an automatic answer that came up after people had spoken to someone, which asked them what they thought about the service. So we did get a few complaints through that, more than we normally would, but that was put right once we realised what was happening. It was a little glitch in the system, but a lot of the calls would still go through the county council. Okay. I think it depends how big the problem would be.
Is there any contingency starting to be put together for the end of this month, when the potential is a huge number of people are going to lose their jobs, and the implications that's going to have on society, really, with huge numbers of people unemployed, because they're going to be using food banks because of this thing about 6 weeks wait to get their money for universal credit and things like that.
There's nothing that we're not doing already.
Right. So the food banks, the extra food banks,
everything is going on at the moment, and if it rises, then we'll do something about it. But at the moment, yeah.
Right. Well, hopefully we won't have that as an issue in our area. But we need to be prepared, though, just in case. All right. So, Francis, you finished now with your section?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on, we're moving on to planning applications. First one looking at is 2020-1710 reserve matters application following outline permission. Francis.
Right. Okay. So so basically, I've sent everyone the well, two things. Firstly, the details on the application going through, but also the outline planning permission that was this relates to from last year, when South Norfolk basically well, they said no. They were waiting for a few things to happen here, and I think the key ones being they wanted to make sure that the flooding side of things was okay, and then also that when this planning, planning permission was given, that actually the hedges and trees would not be chopped down.
These two are linked, aren't they?
So they're linked. So what you've got is you've got the 2019-0457 is basically that was the approval of the outline planning permission for, this is for Keeper's Cottage we're talking about. But so there were basically conditions put on that, and now that they've come forward with 2020-1710, it's basically what we need to do is to make sure that we're happy that those conditions are going to be met.
Yeah, I think when we just look at our neighbourhood plan, because we approved, we said this should go ahead. The only thing that I feel that with regard to a neighbourhood plan, we need to make comment about hedgerows and any trees, because it looks like they want to remove the hedges completely from the back and the side of the plot and the tree, and then just plant new stuff. But the potential is that could damage an awful lot of existing wildlife in the area. And I think there's others commenting, but I think we should comment as well on making sure biodiversity is secure. And also we need to look at this flooding, because no one seems to be addressing the issue of the flooding outside the property. So that on the entrance to the property, there's a massive amount of flooding there. No one will seem to want to take ownership of that.
Well, there's they put two new massive silkways there a few years ago, but I don't think and because it's so low there, the water's then got nowhere else to go. That was I'm going back a few years, so my memory might be wrong, but that was what I gathered from there.
Yeah, from my understanding is they just dug trenching, which fills up very quickly. They need to put crates in there if it's going to be a bit more.
I always think they dug some big holes in the ground outside the property in the road, because the road was shut for a while. They dug some massive holes there. Okay. So I'm assuming, although we couldn't get down this because that was just a mess anyway, but you couldn't get through there. They put crates in the ground, but again, I'm only assuming that.
Maybe Francis, you could get that confirmed. We just make the comment within this planning application that that the flooding just needs to be addressed by somebody.
Yeah, I mean that's what the original one said, Peter. I mean it said it's the applicant's responsibility to ensure adequate drainage of the site so as not to adversely affect surrounding land, property or highway. So it's kind of like, well, where's the evidence that they've done that?
Yeah. Okay. So I think we make just our two comments with regard to that, because I think we've approved it in the past, so we should continue on with the approval subject to.
Yeah.
How do people feel about that?
I concur with that.
Mark?
Yeah, I've got no problem with that.
Mark Cordy?
Yeah, I'm happy with them conditions.
Martin?
Yep, fine.
Jan?
Fine.
David? Can't hear you, just nod or shake your head. Yeah, okay, so he's fine with that. So that's what we'll do on that one, Francis. If you can put that.
Peter, do you want to have a proposal and seconder? Do we want
I'll
to
propose.
officially put that through?
Yeah.
Second.
Mark second.
Who's seconding that?
Yeah, Mark, Caton.
Mark was right. Okay.
Yeah, all in favour. We've got the hands up. Yep, unanimous. Okay, moving on. Are there any other planning applications we need to consider? And there
It
is
was
one.
just finding out, there is one, Peter, which was just finding out about the 15 Marlingford Road application.
Okay,
And the work that was basically, the work that is happening now shouldn't be anything to do with the application, because I've checked it with South Norfolk and they haven't given the green light for them to do it there. It's still, they're waiting for a response from the applicant that, you know, as to how they're going to basically
Redesign it.
redesign it, Mike. And they've not had anything back. This was last Friday. I was in discussion with Lynn Arms about that. So anything that they're doing should only be, I mean, it should just be
cosmetic.
Kind of cosmetic is the right word. Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
No one's been on site for a long while.
I did see a load of what looked like white goods being taken out of the property.
Yeah, it was the kitchen, I think, the old kitchen.
Yeah, so it's cosmetic.
It's cosmetic. I don't think there's any work being done in there for probably at least a month or more.
Okay.
Maybe waiting for the plan permission to be approved, because any other secondary work they've done downstairs might be destroyed if they start ripping the roof off and doing other things. Yeah.
Right, you are on that one. So we need to wait to hear. Persimmon's side of things, because that's not elsewhere. I'll do that within the planning. Where are we up to? Well, I've sent I tried to speak to Alison Cornish of Persimmons. She has given me an update, and it's basically they're looking to resubmit sometime the middle of November, and hoping to bring it to committee in January, February. I have reminded her of the fact that South Norfolk must comply with its equality duties, and that might take a little bit longer than the timescales that they're putting down, because they have to go through an awful lot of detail to comply. But from my understanding, the officer is very willing and very pleased to comply with his equality duties. He's asked the parish council for advice on organisations he needs to contact, and I've given him organisation names that he needs to contact, like the Federation for the Blind. But what's interesting, they're all against shared drives, so it should be very interesting, or shared roads, I should say, the outcome of that. Okay, so has anyone got any questions on planning or anything else on that side of it? No. Okay, moving on. We have an adjournment for public consultation, but there's no members of the public now present, apart from Margaret. But we'll move on now to financial matters. I'll hand over to Francis as our financial officer.
So just to say, I mean, we had payments of £2,664.93 that went through, which were approved for September, and in there, there was the CGM we paid. There was the tree works we had to have done on College Heights. That comes out of College Heights money, and just the grass cut. We've got the new bin down Barbara Road. That was £295 if you exclude the VAT. If you look at those payments in relation to now what we've got in terms of our reserves, we actually had the second chunk of the preset come in, and we also got the first half of the VAT from last year in, which we ought to sort of like send a thank you letter to HMRC for taking them so
only a
long to
year
do it, but yeah, well, so we should be getting the next one at some point. So what that means is that in terms of on the money side, we have £37,730 in earmarked funds, and we have 21. Now we've got 21,278 in general funds. So we've got a total of £58,605, and this is as per the weekend. And just to say, I've put the forecast in terms of what I think we're going to spend for the rest of the year. So if we get the VAT back, what we're looking at is we'll have effectively a total surplus of 15,638. Now we've said that we're going to spend roughly about £2,000 on the sign. But obviously it still means that we're well in excess of the 10 grand that we need to have for, if you like, the government recommendation on reserves. So that's all looking fine. And I just want to say what we'll do next month, we're going to reconvene the finance and governance meeting, and we need to start looking at the budget. So what I'm going to do is I'll send to all those on the committee. I'm going to send the file, and then we'll do this shared link thing, and we'll actually see how it works if you all have your numbers up on screen. But I'll send you the spreadsheet as well, so you can print it off if you need it. But we'll go through it in the same way that we did last year when we set the budget. So when we make changes, we'll actually do those online, and you can see what impact it has on things like the precept, any increase in precept if we start changing the assumptions. So we're going to see how that goes online, but hopefully it will work. Be interesting to see if it does work, but I'm hoping it will, as long as if everyone can see the numbers on the screen and they're not too small. So I might have to do a little experiment on someone just to see that the numbers are big enough to actually view.
Okay. Mark and I approved the payments. We had no problems with the payments for September. With anything else on finance that needs to be covered at the moment? We need to go on to discuss the annual playground in a second.
I was going to say the playground.
Yeah, but I was going to look at the main finance points, because you've covered update and the reserve position already. So we need to look at the annual playground inspection report. So I need to give Francis co-partnership of this more. So make a co-host. Yes, right, Francis, you can now take over and share the screens.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically, I've summarized everything out of the report which is of medium risk. I think high risk means that you're going to kill a child imminently, so we haven't got any of those. But the medium risk ones are ones we really need to look at. I've just before the meeting, I've emailed everyone the full 40-page report, but I'm not intending to go through all of that tonight. But by all means, have a look at the kind of the lesser things that need doing. But these are this is a new inspector, this guy David Bracey. He seems kind of switched on, and he was able to do the report in the timescales we were looking at. So this is his report, and medium risks, which is what I'm now going to show you, are the things that he suggests we really have a look at. So if I go in here, right, can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so basically the first thing that he mentioned was, he said the signage isn't very good, and particularly that there should be better visibility, no dog signs up. And I've cleared some of the poo out of Jubilee playing field, and I mean, there just shouldn't be dogs on there. I had one resident who said, she saw that an owner would let their dog in, and she didn't feel that she could really approach the owner. But anyway, so I think some dog signs, and we've got two in particular. We've got two signs. This one's in the toddler playground, which I don't even know what is on it now. We should just remove that, but it should really say no dogs on it, and also stress the fact that the playground is for toddlers, and we should have something with wording on that. This is the rather sad looking bylaws sign from Jubilee, and if you're going to have a sign, he's saying you need to kind of sort it really. And the other thing is to have the postcode of the park should be quite visible, so that if there was an accident or anything, and you had to call emergency services, they'd know exactly where to go.
Good idea.
We look at
We do have a bylaws, and Nick Norton had it on file. The bylaws. We just need to get them copied up and a new sign made.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking if I can get a bit more of the screen.
Yeah,
up here.
just
I'm sorry.
press enable edit, and hopefully that will improve things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's better.
Okay. All right.
See, going down. No, come on. Going down. Right. Okay, right. So basically, we'll sort those two out. Now, when we looked at looking at Garnet Drive, we've got a problem with the bin there, and basically the lock has been removed so that the guys can take the rubbish out. But actually, because of the design of the bin, that would be a risk to hands and fingers. And he has suggested it's a medium risk, and actually that those bins should be either locked or we should replace the bins.
Yeah.
That's the one in the toddler playground.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There was nothing else in there of medium risk, but sadly we've got an even worse looking bin in the College Heights play space, which has got exactly the same problem. That one looks like it's been through a few pandemics, doesn't it? But so that one's got the same issue where there is no lock. So we could replace those bins if you were in agreement to do that. That would come out of College Heights money.
Yep.
We have about 18 grand in that, so we can pay for those bins without it affecting our general reserve or earmark reserves.
Yeah.
Sorry, it would affect our earmark reserves because it's earmarked money, but it wouldn't affect our general reserve.
No, do that. Do all of that.
Yeah, I think we should just do it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll get quotes. I'll get quotes for those.
Yeah.
The other thing we've got is in the regarding the old fitness equipment that was moved. We've got the air skier, which is no longer a skier. I had to remove the kind of like the paddle things because they were, or anyway, the things you use your arms for, because it basically was dropping off. But he's saying that a little kid could put their fingers through that, and we ought to just, if it's not going to work, we should just remove the thing altogether and get rid of it.
The college had the last ones out of the Jubilee Park and then refurbished them. If they were prepared to take them away, we'd probably get that done for free.
Yeah.
But I don't know who your contact was.
It was the farm manager.
Farm manager. So it's worth a call.
This one,
What was it?
I think this one just needs to go. Really, I don't think it can be repaired beyond.
Yeah, but they might find a home for it. But let them if they remove it and take it away, it's done for free, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even if they then scrap it.
But they could use the metal within their
Yeah.
construction side of things. So there are a number of projects they could use it for. And you've got, okay, Francis, we'll talk to them about it. I'll look at the emails of the contacts. The trouble is, a lot of staff changes down at the college.
Okay. In terms of the pedal bike, it still works. It's a low to medium risk, but basically the thing needs tightening up. And if it doesn't feel too good when you get on it, it's very wobbly, but apparently it is only low to medium risk. But I would say if we can get that tightened up at the same time as the other thing dealt with, it would be good, because it is actually serviceable then. As far as the Jubilee playground goes, again, it's low to medium risk, but this is something that can be done quite easily. In fact, I'm quite happy to do it and get some cable ties. And that's just where the grass matting has come up, which could be a trip hazard. It's just a matter of digging down and putting some cable ties to knit it together. And that's under the swings. We have got an issue with some split wood on one of the new on the new climbing frame, and therefore what I was hoping to do was to basically at the same time as they look at that, because we need to see whether that's under guarantee, we'll also get them just to raise the swing height a bit, because that should be done. But it's not even, I mean, that's not a medium risk thing. It's just if the guys are coming to have a look at the split wood, which again is only a low risk, but we've got to watch it because it's under guarantee and we don't want it to come out of guarantee. We'll get them to look at that and then raise the swing height. I have got a swing to put back as soon as I get a bolt that I'm waiting for from the company. But as you can see under the swings, we've got quite a bit of this matting that needs to be knitted together. And then we've got this little fella, which we all know and love as the little pelican thing that sadly broke a little while back. And David has said we need to get rid of that because it's near the other equipment and therefore it is a trip hazard. So that does actually need to, we need a quote to get rid of that altogether. And at the same time, these are also trip hazards, which are where we have the equipment removed from the play equipment removed from Jubilee playing field. The issue here is it's not quite so bad because it's out of the way of the main equipment. It's to the side. So therefore, the little kids are less likely to run into it, whereas this one up here, they're more likely to. So those are the things that need doing. And I say I can get quotes maybe for the next finance committee meeting. We can get quotes to see how much those things are going to cost. We could put some earth. I think you suggested, Peter, didn't you, that we put some earth and try and make little mounds of that to remove it.
Or even put some grasscrete over the top. You've got some of the safety grasscrete right at the sides of it. Maybe we organise a little bit more, put some earthing over it, and then bind in, with cable ties, some grasscrete to cover them. It's a cheap, simple fix. At this stage until later on when we get the zip line and they'll be removed. And the other thing I haven't put on here, and it wasn't raised as a it's only very low risk, but basically the new bench that we bought, which is disabled friendly, some of our more able older kids who shouldn't be in the park anyway like to move it about and obviously put it down the other end so they can then climb on top of the the sheltered seat. So if we could get a quote from the playground guys to actually just put something in with a chain on to kind of stop them from dragging it around, because it's a bit of a heavy lump to have to keep dragging back.
If we put a chain, can I just interrupt? If we put a chain and a padlock on it, the grass cutting boys could just lift it and move it and put it back again. So I'll make
that would grass. Be and that's the difference between that and putting it into cement legs where it's fixed and then you'd really need something underneath it.
You need a pad underneath it then.
But this would just be that they could move it as they wanted to mow. So it's really the bins that are going to be the expensive things that we need to do, and these other things apart from this, which does need to be removed, It's really, those are the things, and then it's just making the park look a bit nicer by getting the signage sorted,
Yeah.
and particularly with the dogs as well, because that's a nuisance. Yeah, but I'll send. You've got a copy of the report, so you can go through all the details of all the low risk stuff. And if there's anything that you may want to bring up, that's fine. It's one of those where you go through anything. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could just replace all of it? But you know, that would have a substantial cost.
Well, I've read it all through, Francis, and I think I quite agree. There's only a few minor things there, and that's pretty good. So, yeah,
I'd like
I think
to propose that all the stuff on Queen's Hill, because we've got the funding sitting there, we get all that done. You know,
Yeah.
these bins and so on need to be sorted out. They need signs for dogs as well down there. So I think we should just
do
get
it.
that and do it. So I'd like to propose that.
I'll second that.
All in favour of doing it? Yep, unanimous. Okay, let's get that all sorted. Okay, let's see if there's anything else we need to cover. Anything else on the playgrounds? Does anyone want to raise? No. Okay, moving on from that, correspondence received and response or actions required. Has anyone received anything that they need to discuss? We've had.
I've received a couple of things.
Yep.
So I received a letter from Joe Tubby yesterday, who was talking about street lighting on Barbara Road, and she has said that would it be possible to look at getting some low-level lights. And she's quoted here, small solar individual lights similar to ornamental ones, and put them down the stretch of road leading
Absolutely
to the,
not.
No, it'll be very
If
too
you want street
portable.
lights, live in a town.
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
fine.
We live in a village. You know,
Yeah,
we're,
they're too portable.
country lane. No.
The other thing that that I need to mention or raise is the issue of the CLT, Easton CLT annual general meeting that's coming up on the 21st of October, and the idea that actually the parish council has a seat on the board and is able to legally, I've looked at the rules and can do this, so that you can have effectively a corporate body represented on the board of the CLT. It doesn't have to be an individual. Obviously, the organisation just have some. It's got to have some relevance to the CLT. I know, Margaret, you've been willing, haven't you, to you're going to come on representing South Norfolk Council. So if we could have, we'd need £1 from you, Margaret, please, at some point. I'll sub you for the moment. But if
Risky.
I know South Norfolk hasn't got a lot of money, so we'll.
Oh
we'll
no,
sub you
South
£1.
Norfolk's got plenty.
I'll put it in a bag and put it through Peter's door or something, and then he'll isolate it for so many days. before he takes it. Is that all right?
I will need to get you. I'll send you a form, Margaret, because what we do need to do is officially have the signature on it and do everything like that. And the same actually will be with the parish council as well. If you agree that the parish council does come onto the board of the CLT, then I presume, Peter, on behalf of the council, you would actually sign for that.
Yes.
And
If people are in agreement, only if people.
oh,
are
yeah,
in
sorry,
agreement.
yeah.
Is that another £1 then we've got to spend?
I'm not subbing you that one.
Only,
No, you're finding that.
yeah.
I can get Jan. Will you approve? You'd approve the pound, would you? I can put it. I'll put it through the. I'll put it through. You know, the back payments.
Well, first thing, Francis, we have to get agreement from the parish council whether they want to put someone forward. It can be someone who's already sitting on it, or it can be someone else. There can be the CLT can have up to 12 members on the board, including corporate members. So what we'd like to do is, who would like to propose? Would anyone like to propose the parish council go on to the CLT board as a corporate member? Anyone want to propose that? Mark?
I was just saying if any of the CLT members would like to propose it.
To me.
You are one. Yeah, go on, Jan.
I'll propose. Okay.
All right, I'll second it. All in favour of us being a corporate? 1, 2, 3, 4. Any abstentions? No. Okay, right. It was unanimous. So we're going to go on as a corporate entity onto it. Right. Is there any other correspondence that we need to deal with?
There's nothing. There was this information we'd received from Highways, but it's just on their strategic business plan and delivery 2020 to 2025.
Yeah.
We don't. There's no action resulting from that. But it's just from information purposes. If I could share that with the councillors.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you can send that round, if it's needs to go round. The only thing I promised I would do for Keith, who attended earlier, was just mention this bollard idea. We have had a look at it. Its cost is just over £2,000. It is something that we do need to get done, but it's about the amount of money it's going to take and when it can be done and so on. Now, Margaret's kindly intimated that from next April she would be able to utilise part of her funding to do it. And, you know, strange enough, April's not that far away now. It's quite incredible where we are. And we'll be right to April in no time. Now, I take it you can't agree to things, Margaret, until such time as you actually get the funding.
That's right. And the thing is, do we have to just check with Highways? Do we need permission to put these bollards?
Oh, they'll be the ones who fit them.
Yeah. So we need to get their agreement first.
We've got their agreement to do it. They're the ones who've drawn out the plan.
Okay, I
didn't realize they did all the plan and everything. So we've got their agreement to do it. So they've said where the bollards would go and so on. And so we've got all that agreement. All we need to do now is find the money. Now, this is something that it would be nice if we could do it right now, but I understand why there would be a reluctance to do it. I think we look at this closer to the time, and if Margaret still gets her allowance, I would like to propose we take Margaret up on a 50-50 share to get the bollards done next April.
Sorry, can I just ask, you can't get that from partnership funding, can you, from the county council? Because we've still got till December to get that.
No, we've that's one I've tried before and they said no.
It's mainly roads things, isn't it?
Yeah, they limited what you can ask for, and that's not one of them. I did try it in the past. Yeah.
Because in the past, for some things, I've gone half, and the parish partnership has gone half, so the parish council hasn't had to pay anything for something.
Yeah, it would be nice, but unfortunately, unless they've changed the rules this year, which I don't think they have.
I don't think so. No, I didn't know if you could get bollards. Yeah.
Yeah, they said no, and I asked them before. They said no, they wouldn't fund it. That's why we were going to have to 100% fund it. But I had tried that on with them in the past. but it was to no avail. So, if you do get the funding, I think everyone would be in agreement. We'd like to take you up on that. So I'd like to propose that we push this off until closer to April. Will you know in March whether you have funding for the April?
It's more likely to be the AGM, although Martin Wilby usually says that there's, that the grants carry on every year. They're quite keen on that because it works very well for members to have a grant to help with small things around the villages. So I don't think there'll be any change.
All right, and that's
Yeah.
when.
So I think it'll be available.
That you think that'd be available?
Yeah.
So if we look to readdress this, propose that we address this in March.
Can I interject there, Pete, before you go? We did agree that it would put them in within the land sale. If the land sale is imminent, and if the money is imminent, I would suggest that we do the posts sooner. However, if there's a delay in the money and it's getting closer to March, then I'll fully agree with going 50-50.
Yeah.
How does that sit?
Yeah. They need done as soon as possible. The timings wise, if we get an agreement now, say miraculously everything got sorted out with the planning permission tomorrow, you've then got at least 6 weeks for the JR period. Then you've got 10 working days for the money to come in. So you'd be around
after Christmas.
Yeah,
Maybe after
Christmas.
So in January, February, March. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's right.
It's all close. So if we can get money through Margaret, great. Let's if we leave it as if I propose that we put this off until March, however, bring it forward if monies allow sooner.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
You second that? All in favor? Yeah, unanimous. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll see how we go on that. Okay, so now I need to read out a statement. I'll just change my glasses to read this statement. Exclusion of the press and public under the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960 during consideration for the following agenda item for resolution to exclude the press and public from the meeting under section 1 of the Public Bodies Administration to Meetings Act 1960 because publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest given the sensitive nature of the business to be discussed. I propose that. I need a seconder.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, unanimous. Sorry, at this stage, Margaret, I'm going to
I'm
have
happy
to
to leave you. I've had a long day.
All right. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
attendance.
Bye-bye.
Right,
Bye.
what I'm